Go. This one, HDMI.
It's gonna be. If the system's working, that's a positive.
It was working.
No, it always works.
Yeah, this is. I thought they're all on both HDMI too.
It should be both on two.
Okay.
Hold on, let's go.
That's weird. It was working.
Oh, Steven says I can hear you all. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug.
Two so far.
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. It is now 9:05 a.m. We're gonna get started with the water board meeting. As we do with every meeting, if there is a member of the public that is either online or in person, if you would like to speak on any topic, we ask that you either raise your hand in the chat or come off mute. Or if you are in person, just raise your hand and we will acknowledge you and afford you a few minutes to speak on any topic. I'm going to turn this over to Connor, who's going to go over some housekeeping issues, and then we'll get the meeting started.
Thank you, Mr. Sunderland. And good morning, everyone. This is Connor Benny with GHD. I'd like to wish a warm welcome to everybody joining us for today's June board meeting. As a reminder, this meeting will be recorded. And to start things off, I'd like to introduce a couple of housekeeping measures. To reduce the amount of background noise, we kindly ask you to stay muted until you're ready to speak. And at the time you're ready to speak, please state your name and affiliation for the record. At this time, I'll begin taking a roll call, starting with the board members. After I say your name, please say here or present. I'd like to start with Bill Sunderland,
Present.
Debbie Lombardo,
Present.
Scott Billman,
Present.
Bill Hanley,
Present.
and Tim Donovan.
Present.
Thank you, board. I'll now move on to the regular attendees, starting with Peter Merlot,
Present.
Jack McMahon,
Present.
Fawad Arab. Yeah, we can hear you, Jack. Thank you. Charlie Martirana,
Present.
Damon Sykes,
Present.
Doug Foltz,
Present.
Bill Ferguson,
Present.
Stephen Waldvogel,
Present.
Dustin Steiner,
Present.
Zach Cox,
Present.
Damon Rand,
Present.
Mike Wolas,
Present.
Jeff Mays,
Present.
Eric Machen,
Present.
and David Hill.
Present.
Thank you, everyone. I think that covers everyone, so I'll pass it back to Mr. Sunderland.
Okay, thank you, Connor. Board, if you will, take a look at the draft agenda before you. Look, see what we've got on here, if there's any additions, subtractions, modifications.
Bill, this is Steve Waldvogel from GHD. There was another resolution submitted by bond counsel this morning that I would suggest the board consider. It's for purposes of the EFC funding application for lead service line replacements that we are preparing. Connor should have a version of that in his email. There is a companion resolution to the Finance Authority. However, based on discussion with bond counsel, if the board so chooses to pass the resolution, we would submit the funding application with that resolution alone. And in the future, if bonding is necessary or EFC would like the Finance Authority resolution, you would move forward with the Finance Authority at that time.
Stephen, is this something that's time sensitive?
It will delay the funding application by a month if we have to wait till next month. That is not necessarily going to change the final outcome of the replacements, because they will likely happen next year, but it will delay our application by a month. And, you know, at that point, then it goes to EFC and their timing, which I can't really predict.
All right, I know the board hasn't, or myself hasn't seen this resolution yet.
Yep.
So,
Fair enough. It's simply authorizing the funding application to go in and stating that the water board would move forward with appropriate resolutions if you were to bond the project. But that's not the anticipation at this point. It's a grant-funded project. It's a requirement of EFC to have a bond resolution, even though it's a grant-funded project. So this is, in some sense, it's a formality, but you are right. Bond counsel just submitted it this morning. If you'd like a month to look at it, that I don't think that would have a tremendous impact, but we couldn't submit the application until that happens next month.
board, what is your thoughts on adding this or discussing it at this meeting?
If there's no impact, to delay a month so that we can
Yeah.
have an opportunity to review it, prefer that.
Okay, Stephen, we're gonna table this to the next meeting.
Okay, that no problem. I don't think that will have a material impact. So very good.
All right, thank you. Any other additions, subtractions, modifications? And hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as so shown?
Lombardo makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Handley second.
Been properly moved and second, hearing no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We're gonna move on to item number 2, approval of the meeting minutes of May 13th, 2026. Board, before you, you have a draft copy of the meeting minutes. If you would take a minute to review those for any corrections or modifications. Are there any modifications, amendments to the draft meeting minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 13th, 2026?
Handley, make a motion to approve minutes.
Donovan, second.
It's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to item number 3, the public comment period. As we stated earlier, if there's any members of the public, either online or in person, you can either come off mute or raise your hand in the chat. If you were at the meeting in person, just raise your hand and we will acknowledge you and allow you a few minutes to speak on any topic. If there's anybody on that. Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 4, staffing update.
Good morning, board. Doug Foltz, Veolia Operations. I'll just touch on a few things and then I'll pass it over to Jeff Mays. Based on discussions with DPW, there has been no significant staffing changes since last month. So if you look at page 18, which is the summary of the staffing report, it will be the same as the previous month. We did identify critical positions at some of the board members' request. We did forward that on May 7th. Those positions are specific to, some of them are revenue specific and supporting operations at Exchange Street for the turnoff. Program. So I'll pause there if there's any
So
questions.
we're at 105, 76%.
You want to add anything?
So as we talked about last meeting, I wanted to start reporting out on kind of what's open, how long it's been open, and giving a status update. I did request that, I just haven't received that yet from the city. One update I can provide is we did have interviews last week for the account clerk typist, and they have one more tomorrow. So hopefully there'll be some movement there.
Is there current list? Is it, I know that's a citywide,
Front list of,
for account clerk typist, is there a current?
there's a lot of openings I heard.
No, I think
Across
just
the city.
across the city,
Yeah,
like, there's no list, because they go like. You fill them right along and the list gets expired or. Exhausted very quickly.
yeah.
Yeah, those kind of, that information is, that's where we need the support from DPW to answer. We just don't have that information. Yeah.
Also, just on staff meeting, I have Concord interviews. Apparently they have like 5 or 6 for next week. So we'll be interviewing some Conquerors as well as our dispatcher, Mr. Wilson, was officially terminated. Even we've been on our table for 3 years. So the arbitrator awarded in our favor. So that was yesterday, and as of yesterday, one of our dispatchers is going over parking, so we need somebody put in a resignation.
So you want to move about Exchange Street as well, with the start of the possible resignation of Exchange as well, so.
Mike Conkers, is that a list also?
There's no list.
There's,
There's no exam.
oh, there is
Not
not.
the main.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff, Doug, anything else?
All set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 5, the water board budget. Ferguson?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, Bill Ferguson. I'll see that it's on the screen. Let me just get that pin so I can see that. So I'll just do a very brief overview of that. The budget itself, if you look at the pretty much going to talk about the changes between the 26 adopted budget and the 27 recommended budget, which was adopted by the Common Council, and we're looking for the board's approval. It's up around $10 million. And the major changes would be if you go into the revenues, the flat rate and the meter rates are up 11%. That's based on the rate consultant report. So we're anticipating an 11% increase in the rates for this fiscal year. If you go down to the bottom of that, you're noticing we're having that very last line above the bold, the reserve for unfilled positions of around 3.9, almost $4 million. That is, in years past, we've always budgeted and set the rates based on having a fully staffed, all positions being fully staffed. And then we came to the realization that that probably did not make sense because we know for certain that we're never going to be fully staffed 100% of the year. So that that reserve there of around $4 million is just based on having the budgeted position to really what we have historically, the amount of payroll expense that we have paid to the Water Enterprise Fund. That's the total revenues of $79,350,000. If you go with the next page, the expenses, the big increase there will be right around the middle of the page. The structural and equipment improvements, it was budgeted at $7 million last year. This year it's based the budget is now $11 million. It's based on discussions with between the board and Pete Merlo, but there's figures behind that. Going down the line for under miscellaneous general city charges, there's a uncollected account provision for $2,137,000 that came from the rate consultant report. So the way it's budgeted is that we're budgeting full rates, and then we're having the reserves that gets us more to a cash basis. At the end of that page for the debt service, that's based on the existing debt service as of today. That includes the issue that the bonds that we sold a few months ago. And plus, we're anticipating another $83.6 million of bond issuance next fiscal year, but we're assuming that's going to take place the same time period, more towards the spring. So we're only including about 3 months of interest in that. And then on the very last page, down there, it's the interfund transfers. The transfers to the general fund, to the Water Enterprise Fund, to the Water Authority. And the second last line is like the transfer to the Water Authority MMB for $2.5 million. That is just it's another non-cash budgetary item because the rate covenants call for a 115 debt service coverage. So we're setting the rates based on 1.15 debt service coverage, but we're not actually spending that money out. It's just a cushion, so that's where that's budgeted, and that's consistent with the past. That's the brief highlight. I'll entertain any questions.
Yep. Bill, it's Bill Hanley.
Mhm.
On, excuse me, on page 1, there was, service to the BSA, 509,000. There was some discussion about what we pay the BSA and what we get in return or what our share is. Can you explain that line?
My understanding, those are negotiated fees between the city as a whole and the BSA, and those really have not changed in quite some time. As far as what that actually is comprised of, I don't know that answer.
Yeah, there was some discussion.
That may be a question more for the Commissioner of Admin and Finance, because I think they're involved with negotiating those reimbursements with the related entities.
Yeah, we
So,
had,
can I segue on that question? So I'm assuming Commissioner of Administration and Finance is involved in the negotiation or the formula that was created a long time ago related to the transfer to the general fund, which is 10.5 million.
Yeah, well, that 10.5 million, they actually came from that came from the state legislation when the water board was formed in 1992. That was the direct charge that increases 5% a year.
A year, right? And when was the BSA agreement done?
With the BSA? Oh, that's the city has that with many departments. I know that there's a charge with for even for audit control, because we do the payables processing for the sewer authority. I think legal has there's a charge, a revenue item for the for law, because what the law department does, probably purchase. I think it's that object code is repeated throughout various city departments.
It's similar to the 10.5, right? That's for that's for quote unquote services provided to the water board.
Yeah, provided. Yeah, so it's services that the water board has provided to the sewer authority, and they're reimbursing us to the tune of $509,700 a year. And that again, too, the good point, that number was probably looked at many years ago, and that has not changed in quite some time.
Well, that's where I'm going with this. So for the state legislation to create the water board in 92, it had a 5% incremental increase per year, correct?
Oh, I don't think, no, that's for the general fund. That's for the city itself.
Understand that.
But the sewer authority, that's a separate item.
I'm very aware of that. My point is, that was done in 92 with a 5% increase per year. That's why I'm asking, when was the agreement with the sewer authority done?
That was well before my time. I've been here 14 years, and that hasn't changed in 14 years.
oh, yeah, that's why I asked.
There's no escalator. It's $500,000 for in perpetuity. But we have to pay for legal services.
Oh, actually, we're receiving that.
Pardon me?
We are receiving that. That is a fee that we're receiving from the sewer authority. That's a revenue item for the water board.
Right. My point is, it's not enough.
Right? Yes. And one could argue from a citywide point of view, those also probably could use a review, but that's not my lane.
But again, it was before your time, so it's prior to 14 years ago.
At least, yes.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Also, Bill, this is Pete Merlo. I'm sure we have a Water Finance Authority meeting next Wednesday to approve the budget. So hopefully that will meet your submission timelines as well.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, well, I mean, once this board approves the budget, I can get that uploaded to Paris. And the same thing next week, once the Water Finance Board approves their budget, I can get the Paris filings done as well.
Sounds good.
And Bill, one other question. I mean, you talked about budgeting for fully staffed. When was the last time the water board was fully staffed?
I would guess probably 100%. I'm not sure. I mean, that's again probably before my time. But those are all, even citywide too. The city's never fully staffed. There's always vacancy and turnover.
Yes, yeah. But I'm saying, so we were budgeting that we were fully staffed. However, we have 15 vacancies in Cawker and all right.
Which is why we're showing that reserve amount in there, because of that. I mean, that's sort of similar, but years past, I think when the former Ray consultant and I took a look at things probably in the late 20 teens, the same reason why how we were just always budgeting the rates based on even with the 1.15 debt service coverage. And that's the point is how we got the capital reserve up so high, because we're fully budgeting for fully staffed payroll and plus the 115 coverage. And there was revenue coming in, budgeted revenue coming in, but there's never any expenses going out the door, which led us to pretty much grow a very healthy capital reserve. But I think it was up to almost $50 million at one point. And then that's when the board decided that it made sense to start spending, not increase the rates just to have money in the bank above and beyond of what we needed.
The 7% that you're projecting potentially for this coming year or next year, I should say. David, is that based on latest figures that you have as far as collections and things like that?
Yes, so that's, that was all based on collections. Yes, that was worked on with the rate consultant back when he was doing the report for the bond issuance. So that came right from the rate consultant report.
How long ago was that, Bill?
February, I believe. It was finalized in February.
Okay. So meaning projections on the arrears revenue capture has gone up?
Yeah,
correct?
so I think that's gonna be a conservative budget. I think the budget that's proposed is gonna be conservative. We probably, based on the increased collection efforts, I think we are going to probably see a positive variance in the line.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Can I just make one statement? Are we aware that on July 1st, Buffalo Sewer Authority is going to be raising their rates 6.8% on the Buffalo Water bill? Because remember, Buffalo Water was cheap utilities, and they're raising their portion of it by 6.8% on top of what the normal customer would be getting. So that's going to raise, elevate their bill.
And we bill and we collect and we do all that for BSA. We get $500K a year.
Yes, and they're raising.
So just a question, because the normal homeowner is going to look at it and think it's Buffalo Water.
Right.
Is there some sort of notation that should be put on the bill?
We can make that if you want.
On
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
No, it's just because they're going to put a 6.8% on the Buffalo Water Board bill.
Yeah.
And the homeowner's going to look at it and think it's Buffalo Water.
Right.
I think there should be some notation of what that increase is, so people understand it's not
Yes.
Buffalo Water.
We can
Should be
work with our
separate bills.
vendor to.
I think
I think-
that, but it'd rather something that's older.
Because it'll start a storm.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with that. Thanks, Bill, for catching that.
Bill, did you have anything else on the budget?
No, the only just thing too, just the last comment that I've been known to make just with the rate increases, that's those are anticipated to be 11% for the entire year. I'm not certain when the water board plans on doing a rate increase, but obviously if collections and things are better, the rate needed will be lower, but these rates do anticipate the increased debt service load that we have taken, and we are considering some significant debt issuances in the future, and the rates will need to cover those. So that's just I'll just make that point.
Hey, Bill, it's Bill Sunderland. What is the production timeline for that?
For the let me see, on the rate consultant report, because the last rate consultant report, he was looking at where is that here? I just had it. Here it is. The rates, the estimated rates for, I said 11% were anticipated for fiscal 27, 13% for fiscal 28, 5% for 29, 6% for 30, and 1% for 31, fiscal 31. And that is based on also looking at some significant bond issuances out in those out years. I know there's another $83 million is being looked at for this coming fiscal year. And I think we're looking, that's based on the capital plan that I don't have handy.
Bill, I was just talking about the current or the upcoming fiscal year. What timing is it? Is it a mid-year? Is it a?
Oh, the rate was, I mean, it was basically 11% for the year. So if we do it July 1st, if everything was perfect, and everything came in at budget, that we would need to do the 11% as of July 1st. If we wait 6 months, in theory, it would be a 22% increase. to capture that, but obviously it's based on, basically, the rate consultant would do a mid-year review based on where things were coming in and probably revise that 11% number down to what's needed for the end of the year, and plus to look at any future bond, issuance that the water board is gonna do.
Thanks, Bill.
Mhm.
Board, any other questions regarding the proposed budget? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the proposed budget for 2026-2027 as presented?
Hanley, make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Billman second.
Been properly moved in second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
We're gonna
you.
move. Thanks, Bill. We're gonna move on to item number 6, the fee waiver. Peter, is this you or is this?
Yeah, I can start, but I don't, we discussed this. Normally, the water board has authorized me to waive water fees for uses and connection for city-owned properties and parcels. There was a request that came in through OSP that's doing a housing project where the city is developing these parcels, city-owned properties, developing and really trying to, I believe, fund low-income housing, get new development in the areas. So the city has requested the fee waiver through Vlad. Vlad can get any more details if I screw them up. And Charlie indicated that this most likely does fall under that, but because it's kind of outside the typical bounds, we would like to have a separate resolution acknowledging that. And I believe all other city entities are looking to waive their fee for both sewer for the city to try to help this. So that's kind of the tee up. Charlie, I don't know if you want to talk from a legal standpoint. I don't know if you wanted to do more justice, but I think Charlie, you were more concerned about you create a resolution for this, and that's what's in front of the board.
Brian, did you want to? Yeah, I'm more concerned about cost. Again, I think we discussed this on the working session call. It's easy for BSA and others to waive fees because they don't have any. This takes actual manpower, resources, materials.
Dollars out of your pocket.
Yeah, so it's a significant impact.
Was there a way to do that and remove those actual direct costs and make the fee waiver contingent on that? Is that something that would be more amendable to you?
Yeah, and I was gonna, I talked with Deputy Mayor, but this was gonna be one of the topics, but there was several others that I spoke with him about, including staffing, and I know you guys upped them on that too. And I just didn't get to this, just to have a discussion on that, because I'm not sure.
Table this for a month. I don't know at this point it's gonna be anything critical.
I haven't heard back from him. It's been a while, but it's been.
If we could just hold on it just to see the little further discussion, because I'm not sure if they know the impact of the cost.
I think because of the impact.
Yeah.
To the water board.
Right.
I think it should be tabled.
Yeah, I do.
So,
let us have the discussion with the administration.
all right, board, is there a motion to table this item till the next meeting?
Hanley, make a motion to table the fee waiver.
Lombardo. Lombardo second.
All right, it's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Item number 6 has been tabled.
Bill, excuse me.
That's,
Did you do a resolution for the water board budget? I don't know if I heard that. The board accept the budget.
yes.
You did? Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 7. This is the extension for the UB Water Distribution Research. Mr. Merlo.
Thank you, Chairman. Pete Merlo, Principal Engineer Secretary to the board. We've been working with UB, the board has, and they've been running, staffing our pilot program, our pipe loop system, and really doing the data analysis. This is an extension of an existing agreement. Last month, you approved the same scope, but to go into new agreement after talking with UB, because of the language has been already well vetted through both parties. It's something that's passed our law. We'd like to do this as an amendment to that contract and just add this scope to that contract under the same language. It would be like a typical change order. And it's to be paid in 3 yearly increments to be budgeted annually for an amount of $101,674. So it's the same item as last that was approved. Again, this is just a change order, additional scope in lieu of going through a whole contract, especially we want to start UB off July 1st, and that's coming very shortly. We don't want to hold up the graduate students in terms of getting them onto the program as well. So
Peter, the annual amount?
201,000.
$674.33, which is an aggregate of $605,023.
So, right, okay.
And I'll stipulate that in the minutes.
And so, yeah, in the last meeting, the board approved a new contract going. So this is just, we're gonna change it to an amendment or an extension to the current contract, that's all.
Exactly.
Basically the same exact thing.
Exactly. It just makes it a little easier and quicker to get it under. And again, as myself and Alan talked about, it's been well vetted through both our parties, and that says a lot. So you don't want to, we don't want to mess with that.
All right, board, is there a motion to approve the contract extension between Buffalo Water Board and University of Buffalo for the water distribution research for the period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029, in the amount of $605,023. As Peter mentioned, this will be budgeted yearly in the amount of $201,674.33. Is there a motion to approve?
I'm going to make a motion to approve this. Brad.
Handley second.
Been properly moved in second. Hearing no other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, move on to item number 8, the Colonel Ward project report of bids, the general contract. Mr. Merlo.
Yes, thank you, Bill. Pete Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer. This is the last report of bids for this construction season. That is a big congratulations to everybody involved, including you, Board, to provide the financing. This is the 4 projects, the first being the water cuts, our disinfection conversion project, as well as a Mass F pump station upgrade. And this is the last one. This is the roofs. This is replacing the roofs over the boiler house, the pump station, as well as the filtration plant. We have a low bid recommendation to Manny Swire for a little over 19 million. This project came in a little over budget, but we had a little under budget. And right now we are on budget for the 4 projects, totaling about $65 million worth of construction. So again, I can't tell you that is, it's impressive and exciting, and looking forward to get moving and delivering these projects for the board and for our operational staff. Any questions on this one?
Peter, have you had any issue with respondents?
Typically we've been lucky. You've seen a lot of city jobs in any bids. We got 2 bids for water cuts, which I thought would be the most difficult because that work is ubiquitous out there. The 3 projects though are very specific. So the Mass Ave pump station, $35 million electrical, that's going to draw people no matter what. This roof project, we got 2 excellent contractors there. So at least we got 2. I would like to have 3, but it's better than just having 1. And our IFO, again, very technical in nature. We had 2 bids. So we had 2 bids for every project that we bid with multiple primes. So you're talking 9 construction contracts that we'll be managing.
Do you see that changing as a result of the stadium coming to from?
Yeah, I see it all over the place. Prices are going up. But what we're seeing is that stadium work is starting to maybe potentially dry up 2 years from now. So these projects, timing wise, are multi-year projects. It allows contractors. But if you have projects like that are a couple $1 million, you're going to have a lot of difficulty getting electrical, getting some of the prime support work. But we're lucky these were big enough. The only project that didn't get a bid was this one. We did an electrical bid. We received no bids. We are going to proceed to do the work. I have financing. We're going to increase this contract at a later date for that electrical work. The electrical work was only $300,000 in value on a $20 million project. So that's the one that didn't draw. But we went through, we did our due diligence, we complied with Taylor's Law. Now we can do this as an amendment to that contract. Again, the money's in there. That change order will come at a later date. Great question.
Any other questions from the board?
Peter, this ties into the next agenda item. Also, it's a 3-year project.
Well, this will be 2. We're hoping that it's going to start. They really want to get everything done, maybe start some in the fall, but really get going, and then probably another 1.5 years. So 2 years.
All prepared for winter storms, everything.
Yeah, well, we'll probably have winter shutdowns. They'll have to tie everything up unless they can do interior work, but these are roof projects. This project itself, that we're going to have a winter shutdown for both for this project.
Okay. Peter, when would they start this one?
Ideally, we'll have a contract ready to go. We'd like to have it by August, but really construction will start spring of 27. But they can order the materials, everything in place, and it'll allow them to actually hit the ground running in the spring and actually, you're like, wow, we planned it this way. You wait long enough, it comes full circle.
We have store materials here, they're gonna keep it on their site.
We are going to sit down, we're going to have stored materials on site. For the contractor, we'll give them space allocation. We have to allow them to stick within that. So it'll be between here and they'll probably have some sort of offsite facility that's bonded or to work with our consultant to make sure those materials are handled. So it'll be probably a combination of both, but they'll have some materials on site that they're using all the time or for the week.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the award of the Colonel Ward Pump Station roof replacement and exterior improvements to Manning Squires Henning Company in the amount of $19,090,000?
Big number.
Yeah, I'm not used to reading. Thank God you didn't put any cents in.
I know,
Makes it difficult.
Round up to the nearest dollar.
Yes, no pennies anymore.
Yeah, Hanley, make a motion to approve the contract for the roof replacement.
Bill, in a second.
It's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor? Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to item number 9, the Colonel Ward roof CA and RI. Mr. Merlot.
Thank you. Pete Merlo, Secretary to the Board, Principal Engineer. This is the second piece of this. We're adding the last phase of the construction phase services to our design engineer, Wendell, who put together the plans, the specs. They're going to be overseeing the construction. There's really 3 pieces to this. You have, if you can go down the pricing, you have basically construction administration services, which is in office reviewing submittals, looking at substitutions, managing the part of the contract that's not happening in the field. There's also that resident inspection. That's that person on site all the time. Work does not happen unless we have a full-time inspector there to make sure that contractor is doing and building according to the plans and specs, because that's what you paid for, board. There's also going to be a lot of, and we estimate right now, these are all time and expenses to be billed as needed. We have an allocation for material special inspections. Both this and Massa projects are large enough that they went through, we already went through inspections at our end. We're gonna have it with Division of Inspections. We're also gonna have special inspections, structural and electrical during the project as these phases are completed. We're going to basically work through those through the consultant. I don't have any other mechanism to contract out with those entities. So this is kind of a one-stop shop for construction management here.
And Peter, this recommendation is through the end of 2028, looks like.
Well, that's the amount of time. So I think they're giving themselves enough time to get through that and potentially go, but I think they're talking a full construction season and into 2028.
Right, so the 715,000 is through to 2028, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sorry,
Board,
I didn't
any-
overcomplicate that question.
That's okay. Board, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve Wendell for the roof replacement and exterior improvements CA and RI?
And this will be a change order to the existing agreement versus the other one's a new contract order bids.
A change order in the amount of 715,000. There a motion to approve?
I'll make motion to approve as read.
Bill, in a second.
It's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 10, the engineering retainer. Dustin, are you handling this one? Your GHD? Or Peter?
Well, I can tee it up. Is Steven still on the line?
Yes.
I forgot.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, this is our typical engineering retainer with GHD. GHD has performed and is performing many services for this board. I don't think this board, myself, could perform at the level that we're doing without their services. Between Steven, Damon, Dustin, Connor. You see, what if I left, I moved. So the
Connor's the most important person.
I don't know. Got that right. That's why I saved them for last. So they do a variety of resources. This started as just a retainer agreement to the board. Really, that's part of the operation and financing agreement. We're obligated to have that, and has grown into many services that are typically sometimes outside typical engineering services, like looking at our population, looking at funds, looking at how we're going to allocate to help people in need, looking at how we're going to administer the lead program. So Variety Services, thank you for what you do for us. And Stephen, I teed it up for you. Now swing away. Don't
Thank you,
miss.
Peter. Stephen Waldvogel, GHD. Yeah, my first time at the plate, I struck out. Hopefully not today, you know.
I was staying on the tee. The ball's not
you know,
moving.
Yeah, well, when I was, I don't know, I must have been 8 years old and it was not a happy day. So, yeah, we've laid out on a high level, many of the things that GHD is performing and assisting the board with, providing a variety of services. We very much appreciate you as a board and your confidence in us. I think the water board and helping the water board provide high-level services to the city of Buffalo is very rewarding for us, and we appreciate this opportunity very much. This is consistent with previous years. We would be happy to provide, more detail in terms of specific projects, initiatives, budgets, and the like moving forward at any time. I hope you understand that, and we would remain available to answer questions and to provide whatever services are necessary. We do anticipate, you're moving into an important, maybe highly public period over the next year or two as you're implementing these very large projects, and you're also faced with the challenge of lead across the city. And so there'll be a lot of dialogue and hopefully some public relations as well, which I'm sure we can assist you with to tell the good story of Buffalo Water. Often we don't tell that story. Often we're the bad guy, but in reality, there's a lot of really good things happening at Buffalo Water, and I'm very pleased, and the team is very pleased to be part of that. So thank you.
Stephen, it's Bill Sunderland. Thank you to you and the GHD team for your many years of support to the water board. It would be very difficult to do this without your expertise, so thank you.
And they have to put up with me, so thank you again.
Board, any other questions regarding the GHD retainer?
Could you walk us through the methodology to get to the recommended fee allowance? How does that work? Is that just historically?
Yeah, so historically, and this is some of the information, Scott, that if you'd like to see, I'd be happy to provide. We have served in this role for quite some time. We provide this contract or this proposal with a fee schedule, which, is very comparable to other, firms in the area. We're very careful about that. We want to make sure that we're competitive. We have a long track record here of what the board has expended in these areas. And so this starting fee, if I had to guess, is probably not going to be sufficient for the full year. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, a previous board directed us to estimate the annual spend, but then they cut it in half or some amount, and they said, look, we want you to come back mid-year, provide an update, review progress, review what's happening, how progress is going and so on. And then we will consider as a board whether or not an amendment is warranted. So that has been our pattern, I would say, for maybe 10 years now, where we have an initial allowance or an amount, a not to exceed amount. It's all billed on an hourly basis. And as we approach that allowance, under generally Peter's direction and the commissioner's direction, and more frequently in the last several years, the chairman's direction. So we don't work independent of those leaders. Under their direction, we perform various activities. And as we approach that allowance, we normally come back in February or March or somewhere in that range, give an update, and if needed, we ask for an increase or an amendment. Okay. Last year, you authorized a starting amount of 500,000. And then I believe it was February, you authorized another 300 or something of that range. So we're for the end of this fiscal year, we're, I think, just over 800,000 is where we think the fee will be. I might imagine it could be more if you continue to use our services moving forward, given the regulatory climate, the number of projects that you're doing, the financial analysis that, is going to be paramount moving forward. And so I, somewhat.
And Stephen,
Yep.
sorry, just to give a little history from our standpoint, what he's saying is can corroborate. If you looked at pre-COVID, pre-lead, their expenditure was probably 300,000-400,000 a year for services, helping the board, rate increases, bonding, the basics that were really born in there. Well, what happened was obviously with the lead program, they've helped us and worked hand in hand in managing that program. COVID hit. All of a sudden, we're looking at different way of doing business. How are we going to work with collections? How are we going to work with our staff? So the board's ability to help and bring these services at the time was through GHG. So actually they were available and were able to, without their resources, some of these services may not have been able to deliver. So just to context, this is kind of born through COVID. Now, some of these are coming down. We had a big expense here for PR services that is no longer going to be borne on this contract, but that was hundreds of thousands of dollars that went through you, Stephen. So what to give you some understanding is these are segmented when they invoice. We look at what they are, what the allocation was. We make sure that we are very defendable. So Scott, we can just sit down and go over that history at any time, just to understand how we got here.
Yeah, just on that, I didn't see you brought up that history of PR services were through GHD and there were a couple $100,000 annually.
I think so.
Yeah, there was a series of years, probably at the peak, it might have approached that amount, like a couple hundred. It was, it was a little less than that on an annual basis. There was a series of deliverables. So for instance, we made some videos, we made a series of TV shows that ultimately were not accepted and not used publicly. They're still available. So there's a lot of things that are going on. In addition, as I have articulated previously, and I will continue to work with the board, there are some services that we provide that admittedly, I would advise you are probably best provided elsewhere by someone else. For instance, even the management of this meeting. Yeah. Connor is, administering the meeting. We're saving the video. We load it to a YouTube site, just these administrative things. Unfortunately, COVID set the city back administratively, and that's when we took on some of these responsibilities. And it would serve the board better if, we found a more effective way to do that in the long run. So I'm open for all of those discussions,
Stephen, I'm just going to segue off of that because, I go far back with Stephen and GHD. I know the quality of their services well before being a member of this board. I think what it's come down to is it's a staffing issue still, right? It always comes down to staffing. We don't have an admin. We don't have, engineers in house and things like that, like to support you, Peter, professional engineers. Connor, are you a PE? No, soon to be probably. That's what I mean. And he's running meetings. So that's you pay for that based on the qualifications of the folks. But like Stephen said, is that the best use of the resources that we're expending on them? I mean, I'd rather have them doing design stuff. So it's just, again, it's a staffing issue that hopefully discussions with the administration and some of these titles and some other administrative stuff in Public Works can be solely dedicated to the water board. So we can, mitigate some of this stuff.
And Stephen, Bill Sunderland, as in previous years, when GHD gets to about between 80 and 90% of approved budget, you come to the board with a projection, usually somewhere in February, March, with, your expenditures and then what you need to complete the fiscal year.
Yes, that's typically how we've done it. Yep.
And again, I mean, without GHD, we wouldn't be operating, to be quite honest, but we probably better more efficient way to do some of these tasks.
Is there any other questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the engineering retainer for GHD for July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027 in the suggested fee allowance of $600,000?
I'll make that motion as a.
Bill, a second.
It's been properly moved and second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thing, we're going to move on to item number 11, which is the legal retainer with Barclay Damon and the Buffalo Water Board. Charlie, you wanna?
I just would first like to say this is a typical agreement we approve every year for Charlie services. And again, I just want to say, Charlie, thank you for all you do for this board. Again, we should probably double this because he has to put up with me sometimes. But without his services and really the ability to make things happen. So this agreement basically says that, it says the budget amount, and we just pay him out of that budget line, and that's the amount that I have budgeted in there for this. So again, Charlie, you want to add anything to that? Again, I tried to tee that up for you just like I did for Mr. Walsh there, but you guys, both GHG and you, we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you very much. Barclay Damon, the firm I've been with for years and continue, greatly appreciates the opportunity to present this retainer agreement for the coming year. As Peter indicated, it's following the pattern of past years. We try to offer you a full range of legal services. Behind me, there are numerous other expertises and folks that are very well versed in the kind of work that you need. Whether it's regulatory compliance, whether it's contract work, labor matters, and even the litigation. So the contract includes an amount which is not to exceed per your budget, $300,000. I project that we are not going to hit that this year. The number was increased, and we appreciate that largely because of the litigation that you went through over the last couple of years, which was significant. You were facing a $600 million class action lawsuit. And so we put quite a few resources to be sure to defeat that. And that worked out fortunately very well. And the potential appeal was withdrawn by the plaintiffs in that case. So we were delighted with that result, but that took a lot of effort and more than expenditures of legal services and costs that you would have had in prior years. We have offered here what is a blended rate per hour. It is a slight increase over the last year. And essentially what we're doing is we have a range of rates that our attorneys have starting in the low 200s, going up into the 500s. And we try to find a median that we would charge you without worrying about why are we paying 400 here, 500 there, 200 here. And so it is largely left to me in the firm to allocate and find the resources within our firm to assist you. And I try to look for basically the best value that we can under the circumstances. And obviously I do quite a bit of work myself, and we value the relationship and hope, obviously that we continue. Thank you.
And Charlie, I will be the first one to say thank you for
That's very kind.
your knowledge and your firm's knowledge in dealing with these matters, especially the litigation that we had pending. So thank you. Any questions from the board? Scott?
None.
This agenda item has nothing to do with services or fees. It's just to clean up compliance and record keeping for more.
Well, it's just like with GHD's retainer for the
Correct.
next year, same thing like that. And they come to the board when they get to 80 or 90% of their budgeted amount and say, you know, where they're at, what their expenditures and what they need to complete the year.
Okay.
So this is pretty standard.
Yeah, so as we look ahead in this coming year, we anticipate more work with regard to the lead line replacement program, trying to be consistent with what opportunities are available for funding with other communities across the state, possibly amending your regulations to allow for a more robust program for lead line replacement throughout the city. And we also face the potential issues that we don't know yet with regard to the PFAS and other forever chemicals and what that might entail for the board's responsiveness to your customer base. And we work together with bond counsel. We are not the bond counsel, but we assist as well with the Buffalo Municipal Water Finance Authority and help them to stay in compliance, particularly with the Public Authorities Accountability Act, which we work with yours as well.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the retainer agreement with Barclay Damon for the period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027 in the amount of $300,000?
Donovan makes a motion.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor?
Bill, if I may, excuse me, it's not to exceed. It's you stated 300 in the amount of,
Right.
it's just not to exceed.
Yes, thank you, Charlie. Been properly moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, we're gonna move to limit accounts. Doug?
Yep, good morning, Board. Doug Foltz, VLE Operations. As you turn to page 16 of the board report, that gives a summary of where we will end up through the remainder of this fiscal year. I'd like to walk through the top items just individually if we could. The vehicle limit account, that's really separate from all other board authorizations. VLE carries that number, and that gets trued up every 5 years. So we'll carry the balance on that. We anticipate being under. The 115% does include anticipated invoices to be received through June 2026. That'll just be that's a rolling balance that'll be carried into the next fiscal year for the board, so there's no action there. All other limit accounts items here are actually below previously approved board allocations. So high priority mains and lead service line replacements were at 93%. Especially maintenance at 75%, spoils 84%, and special projects board approved items, which consists of the approved MOU and 120 Waters involvement as a subcontractor, that will be at 90%. Those numbers include invoices we expect to receive through May of this year. Some of these are a little bit below what the target was going to be, but that's only because when we come up with our forecast, we have to forecast through June. So we are going to be below all board approved items for this. So speaking with Peter, I think this is a transfer request. We think the number, an appropriate number for the transfer. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, there was an amount that was budgeted. And then at one point, there was the allocations were approved, knowing that we would fund those as needed as is it. So these are the actual invoices that are going to hit that allocation, because this is the close of the fiscal year. So this is just trying to get as much in now in the account. So when these come in, and then we can end this fiscal year. So this is basically like the true up every year. So
right. So we're in good shape. Any invoices that we do receive through June of this year, we'll just carry into the next fiscal year. And what that really means is that we're going to probably hit those limit account thresholds fairly quickly. So we'll probably right in the first meeting, or maybe even an August meeting, we'll be requesting increases for those limit accounts, which is anticipated every year.
yes,
So you're not looking for anything right now?
Nope. Okay,
No.
all set.
not for an allocation, but looking for a transfer now.
Just the transfer. Yep.
That
Okay.
amount is what, 2.2 million? you said?
2.2, correct.
And that's the final for this year.
That's correct.
That'll
That'll close the books. Yep.
And Peter, where is that transfer coming from?
From reserves.
So the motion is a transfer from reserves to the specialty limit accounts in the amount.
Into the structural improvements account. So it's the one account that I used to pay for the three. We have allocations under that account, but it's for accounting purposes, the transfer goes into one account, makes it a little easier.
So is there a motion to approve the transfer of 2.2 million from the reserves account to the structural improvements account.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Donovan second.
It's been properly moved in second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, item number 13, monthly report from GHD. Stephen or Dustin?
Thank you, Board. Dustin Steiner, GHD. Yeah, I know.
Get up now.
I'm looking at his mute button. Obviously, behind the scenes, as Steven stated just a little bit earlier, we're working on a lot of different things right now, especially we're working on information for the LCRI. We're working on the big draft approach to handle the LCRI. I think you are all aware of that. We're continuing working, on site with Veolia and Peter and Mike and his staff, everyone, Eric, assisting where and when as needed. And forgot Damon, working behind the scenes as well on a lot of different fronts. I'll say, Damon, if you want to expand on that at all.
Yes, Board, Damon Rand, GHD. So, a lot of my time has been spent, as Dustin mentioned, initially in the LCRI space. I've become an indirect funding expert, these days with the AFC, but things are moving along. I won't, kind of allude to, some of the items that we've been approved for. I'll wait for a later time to address some of those things, but things are moving along, learning a lot, and, kind of pass it back to Dustin on now.
Any questions, Board? Any other?
Stephen, have anything or no?
He left the building.
Thank you, Board.
All right, thank you, Dustin. All right, we'll move to item number 14, the monthly report from Veolia.
Yep. Good morning, Board. Doug Fultz, Veolia Operations. I'll touch on a few things and then I'll pass it over to Damon Sykes for the financials. Again, first, I'd like to recognize Mike Rolez and his team and our subcontractors that work together. We had emergency repair a 36-inch wash water line to repair backwash capabilities to gallery number 2 in the treatment plant. It involves some fairly technical construction methods that you don't typically see these days. Mike did a great job honchoing that whole operation, so I just wanted to make sure we recognize him and his team. We did make an intake trip to the intake this past month. The cotter was not available to us, so we did subcontract with Whole Industrial and Allen Marine Services. We did our routine exercising of the gates just to do an inspection of the intake, make sure everything seems to be in good working order. Wendell Engineering did accompany us. They are your retained structural engineer just to get eyes on the intake. That's one of those assets, one of your assets that are really kind of out of sight, out of mind until we can get out there. So we felt it was important to bring them along for the ride. So they did bring a few people with them. They do have some things that they're working on. We're also discussing, they're probably going to look into a proposal to subcontract with Aquatic Sciences, which is a very well-known firm for underwater assessments.
On the outside for
bathymetric
scour and
services,
all that.
Scouring, just doing an assessment. So that was a very fruitful trip. Well, we'll probably do another one either midsummer or late fall. We probably do 2 or 3 a year.
And Doug, I'd like, sorry.
Sure.
No, I think Bill mentioned at it was the last
Yeah, the
meeting
board-
about some board members going out.
I was just gonna address that. Unfortunately, until the cotter's back up and running, we're not gonna be able to take any additional members out there. You barely got enough people on there. So once we get the cotter back up and running, repaired, I think tours become in there. It has the room, it's safe.
Yeah.
You're talking, we either get the sheriff's boat, we had to bring the valve turnaround, so you had to get a boat large enough to handle that.
Yep.
So I'm discouraging any tours out there until we have the cotter back. And then you get the best of both worlds. You get the cotter and the intake.
I thought I just heard the Cotter got some funding for it.
It did.
Yeah.
So
That's good. Yeah, it really comes, the cotter is the safest method to access that asset. It's every other vessel is very, I don't want to say precarious, but it's not as ideal as the cotter.
And there's space consideration now because these vessels now that we're using, the sheriff boats, etc., they're smaller. They don't have as much room on them.
How are the spiders doing?
Well, they're
thriving.
big. They're
thriving.
permanent residents. Yeah, we grow big out there.
I will
All
be.
right, that's a lot.
We'll get them on the ground for you.
Take
Fine.
pictures.
No, I got
Take
pictures. I can
pictures.
show.
Send them to me. Okay, good. Spiders.
Impressive.
We're done.
Yeah, last item I'll just touch on as a segue to Damon Sykes is that we are looking at, from a revenue capture standpoint, we're looking at city-owned properties, where we call them 333 accounts. Those are city-owned properties that do not charge, for water usage. That's in the operating agreement with the Buffalo Water Board. We want to take a look at properties that are specifically managed by private property managers that actually bring in revenue themselves. Obviously, there's a lease that's in place that, you know, we're not going to do that, but we want to see what we can identify in terms of potential revenue capture moving forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Damon.
Right, thanks, same insights from Veolia, to give the board their financial review for the month. Thanks, Connor, if we can just drop that down just a little bit, Connor, to get the numbers, that's perfect, thank you. So, if you want to pull that sheet up, I want to give you the, where we stand. We're getting towards the end of the month, towards the end of the year. And the very first number we want to look at, as we always do, was Bill Ferguson's number for the fiscal year ending this year with $59.2 million. That's our budgetary goal for the year. And coming into the month, ending May 31st, 11 months in, we were at $54 million. It's, you know, can pull it up, kind of, but we're at $54.5 million, 11 months into the year. Right. Thank you. Right. Exactly. So, and as you bring that down a little bit, kind of, you'll see the difference between what our budgetary number for the year, 54.2, and our May 31st number is our new budget number of $4.6 million. That's what we need to get for the rest of the year to hit our goal. So I update this on a daily basis, so you can see where we stand with the billing on each billing cycle. We see that there's 14 days left in this fiscal year. We've already pulled in $2.7 million. Right, here's the number.
2.7.
I'm sorry, 6. Yeah, 1.6. 1.6 is what we received so far.
So far, in what, in the month?
Yes, with the first 9 days.
From arrears.
Yes.
From arrears. 1 point.
From everything. Arrears.
So, and I've asked this a few times, how do we separate what we've collected from arrears?
You can see that from the accounts receivable report. I can see it on an individual basis and as a group. We can see who's paying their normal water bill. And we can also see who's picking up on the arrears.
Yeah, that's what I said in the email. What I'm trying to see is from when we implemented the shut off program, the revenue capture program, whatever we want to term it, what have we brought in from that number that was in arrears based on the criteria? What have we brought in from that?
Would that just be a payment plan differentiator? If you could use that as your
Yeah, exactly. We have payment plans. We have over 1,000 payment plans now.
Yeah, I mean, the first month we were talking, like, we have $1 million.
We understand what you're looking for. Yeah, how to differentiate between normal revenue and arrears.
Right.
What I look at, Chairman, is I look at the gap that we had. I mentioned before in November, we had a $2.5 million gap between the budget and our actual. We've closed that gap now to a 4.6 for the whole year. We need 14 more days to get $2.7 million, and we need 194,000 on an average to make that goal. This is well below what we get on a daily basis. We've been getting typically around 225 to 250.
Yeah, because that number was
set up
220,
Yes.
I think. That's.
So we're set
But I
up.
guess that's a combination of arrears and.
Yes.
That's all
Correct.
coming in, right?
I want to know arrears.
You want to see
Okay.
quantify.
What we collected, what we get shut off program.
We'll prepare something.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But just by elevating both the shut-offs and your normal payments, we're closing that gap, and that's a very doable number. So we need 194,000 on an average. We've never done that. We've always done a lot better than that. So
Okay.
we're set up to make this happen.
So to that point, then, now, does that mitigate what Bill was talking about?
Okay, so-
7%.
Right, if you want to go to this sheet now, this is the budget for next year. Bill has raised that and keep it right where you're at. Keep it right where you're at. Keep it, yep. You look at this sheet right here, what Bill gave us today, it's got the flat rate and meter rate. If you're looking right in the middle, those are the numbers we're looking at for us. So those numbers have been now increased to $71 million. So that number here will now be this number here. On a year, for the whole year. So we went from 59.2 to 71.2. That's the increase. And again, it's going to be on the sheet, on this water board sheet where it's item number 248001 flat rate and 248002 meter rate. Those two numbers combined, 7.1 million and 64 million make 71 million, which will now be placed in this position right here.
So spending plan next year is 71 million.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
maybe I missed something, but how did we get there?
Is Bill still online? He mentioned there was gonna be a rate increase. Now, based on GHD and Stephen, we were deferring any type of rate increase for July first.
Right, so that's what I'm asking, is he equating 7% to get us to 71 mil? It doesn't.
He was proposed 11%, based on what Bill was saying.
11 in total, so 7 is 4.
Right.
So
With the assumption that
11%.
would be on July first, but we, based on what GHD and Stephen said, we were pushing that out until later in the year.
Yeah,
October.
Okay, October, right.
But we've only started our collection process in February.
Right.
right.
That, getting a whole 12 months should.
Should make a difference,
Yeah.
right? It should make a difference.
As long as we stay consistent.
Right.
Which is with what you're asking,
That's my
Brian,
whole point in asking the
if you
question.
can see that, yeah, that differentiation.
Right.
That'll help.
Because then we can say, okay, we're confident based on metrics of what we've collected based on past. Okay, now we're confident moving forward that we can be confident in not doing 11%. Because we're gonna have a lot of pushback on that.
We'll know by the fall how we're doing, because the process and the progress we're seeing right now should indicate to us how we're gonna be able to hit those numbers.
Right, but I think I know pretty much now. I mean, when you 2 weeks ago, you're given a number, or last week of, I think it was 210 per day or 215.
Right, it's improved, right?
Now it's already gone to
Now we're down to
194.
194, which is great, so hopefully we can continue.
Get
to
some
push that
staff in the door, some
Right.
CSRs or, some customer service reps and some
Right.
mics, some help. I mean,
But again, we're billing out more than $71 million a year, right?
Not at this point, no.
We don't even bill out that much?
No, not at this point, no. No, not where the current rates are structured. We're probably billing out something closer to $60 million. Because the rate structure, when you have a rate structure, when Stephen and the rate consultant comes in, he's looking at the number of accounts we have, the meter size, and the amount of water they used in the past. They take that all as a composite number and say that rate structure should get you $60 million. Now, I would imagine that they had already taken that rate structure and said, we can probably squeeze out $71 million out of that. But it appears it's gonna be a rate increase of
Right.
11%.
yeah, so and
To
he's
make that
trying to get
happen.
to that because of bond covenants and things like that. We have to cover.
We'll get you the differentiation between
Keep swinging, man.
correction.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll keep on-
Hey, this is Stephen. Hi, sorry I missed some of the conversation. There's a couple factors that, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but I believe there is an allowance in the budget for unfilled labor positions. Okay, so there is some 30, 40 positions that are unfilled. So expenses normally do not equal the budget. Now the budget has to balance. Okay, so that's one thing that I don't have sight on any of that now. Second, the bigger, more important point is that Roger Liss will be preparing an updated analysis at the end of June, which will include the last 4 or 5 months of collections. His analysis that was prepared in February did not include the aggressive collections. Okay, so that 11% increase was before our collections went up. So we need to talk with Roger, and Roger and I will be working on that so that you will have confidence in the finances for the next fiscal year, and will likely look at a mid-year rate increase, but I can't tell you today what percentage that will be.
Yep.
If we continue collections, as we are, that will offset, much of the rate increase is the hope. And again, we're catching up from 6 or 7 years of essentially no collections. So we have a lot of room there. So,
And what is the budget for those unfilled positions? Correct? Even was that normal? That was
Well, yeah, the normal practice was always to make sure that that you had enough money to fund the budget. In anticipation, this was actually a targeted number that we were hoping for many years to actually fulfill, because that
Right.
number was what we felt was enough to properly manage. the
Sorry,
business.
staffing, right. But
That's
that's why I
the
asked that.
result of that one, but I don't know if you want to not budget for those given the fact that you still are trying to get there.
Well, that's the question I asked earlier. How long have those positions gone unfilled? And
Yeah,
the budget,
so let me comment. So there's two dynamics here. One is you have to have a balanced budget. Okay. You always have to have a balanced budget. We also have a target number of employees that we do not want to back away from. Just because the city has not filled those positions doesn't mean they shouldn't be filled. However, as you are indicating, Brian, it has been many years, 10 to 20 years of practice not to fill those positions, which was somewhat outside the control of the water board.
Sure.
And so when you actually set rates, okay, not budget, but when you actually set rates, you do it on a cash basis. So if you know those positions are not filled halfway through the year, you're not going to raise rates to pay for those positions because that doesn't make sense. So there's 2 or 3 different dynamics that are occurring. We need Roger to come to the board and give you a proper report soon so that you can make good decisions in the next fiscal year.
and then just same thing done with the general fund. I mean, there was 30 million in unfilled positions that were budgeted for. So I'm familiar. And it's a practice that, I think we have to move away from.
Yep, and as you do, you would have to make sure you're financing that appropriately or funding that.
Yeah.
David or Steven, help me out with this. If the current budget was $59 million, correct?
Right, that's right.
And we're looking at it 11% increase, that takes us to about 66 million. Are we short we're looking at a $5 million shortfall for a midterm rate increase? Or am I missing something?
Bill, I can't actually comment because Damon is only showing you a part of your revenue. He's showing you water rate revenues. There are other revenues that I don't have sight of any of those things right now. All Damon is looking at here is water rate revenues. There could be other revenues that we're not counting on that could be changing the number. So again, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to have this discussion. I'm kind of, I've got called away. I will work with Roger to make sure the board has complete understanding of your finances moving into next year. He's not here either, so.
To that point, I mean, is it possible to do something, Stephen? I mean, our next working group will not be until July. Do something before.
Yeah, I can, reach out to him this week and say, look, we gotta put something to the board quickly, I'll try to push him on that, so.
These numbers just help us for future rating.
Yeah, no.
Of course, yes, yep.
I mean, that was.
Okay.
I was excited about moving this rate.
And this is your established base, obviously, it's not built on top of the.
Right, at 59 million, it's gonna change quite a bit, hopefully.
Every question I asked,
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 71, is what we're expecting.
No.
That's
And that's, I mean, we're proving.
What Bill outlined was.
that was the number I was looking for.
It helps the great consultant to explain all the assumptions that went into that number.
Okay.
Revenue.
Yeah, that's.
You don't even.
I'm all set.
You all set?
Thanks.
All set.
You all anything else?
Thank you very much.
All right, board, our next meeting is Wednesday, July 8th. July 8th, Brian, is that gonna work for you?
Yeah.
Everybody else, so we have quorum? Deb?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Is
So,
there,
excuse me, that will be your annual meeting, I believe?
yes,
So we'll be discussing among other topics, the compliance with the public authorities
I'd
accountability,
second that.
election of officers, et cetera.
I'll ask Charlie that. Okay, before you adjourn, Bill, Charlie, on the budget, because there's an awful lot of unanswered questions. And, I know it was moved for approval today, but we're approving a budget that we don't even know what the revenues are gonna be, because we don't know what the rate increases are gonna be. I mean, can we make a motion to revisit that?
You could look at the budget anytime you want,
Okay.
sure, based on updated
Right,
information.
okay, so really today's just more formality than, okay,
Well, you want to have a budget
Right.
that you can look
the
at.
framework,
and
right,
work
right,
from.
okay.
That's right.
So,
but
yeah.
based on new information.
Yeah.
You might get, an unusual expense that you have to deal with,
Right.
et cetera, or.
Or
new
a big
revenue.
windfall revenue.
Right.
Plus, it helps check the box with Paris compliance, so Bill then can submit one because he does have a time frame. So it kind of helps in both
Just
aspects.
better, okay, okay.
So the variables change, we can always revisit.
Sure,
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
all
right.
right.
People might want the Buffalo Water Board mug, you know, and pay you for it.
All right, sorry, Bill, thanks.
That's right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Lombardo makes a motion to adjourn.
Handling second.
Been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That's right. For $1,000.
Finance authority meeting next week.
Okay.
You can't be